Hello and welcome to another Rusty production. Today we're going to do something a little bit decorative. We're going to do a hair barrette. So that's a little scrolly piece with a hairpin that's made for a female. In this case it'll be my daughter. We're going to use a piece of 6mm stock. I'll just grab it like so. We're going to taper down the edges on both sides. We're going to do a little bit of scroll work in opposite directions to one another. And then we're going to make this thing curl like so. Now, as you know, watching this series, I am a complete novice at this, so there's going to be a whole bunch of mistakes. It's not necessarily going to go the way I hope, but at the end of it, hopefully we'll come out with something that, if not is usable, if it's not usable, it'll be a great learning experience. Thanks for watching. Okay, we're going to start by cutting the stock. We don't need it to be that long. Probably about the right spot there. Try to straighten it up a bit. Bang! I'm going to start by tapering this off. Cool it off there in the water. And we'll turn it around and do the other side. Don't really have a problem with the larger hammer, but I might just try this smaller hammer and see if I can get a little bit more control. Right, so just a little bit crappy on the top there, but I mean, it is the pencil shape that I'm after. I'm just not sure how to get rid of the pinching on the end there. I'll just grab these tongs because it's getting a little bit hot. I'll pull down one corner so I'm not burning my fingers. By the way, these are the tongs that I made last time. I've just tightened them up a little bit on the front so they pinch a little harder, so they can use the round stock. I think I'll just clean that up. So I've got the two pencil ends on either side. I might just taper them out just a little bit more so that the taper comes out to maybe about there, and then I'll look at curling them. Okay, I think that is looking pretty good. Got a taper on both sides now. Now the job is to see if we can curl that around. So with making this curl around, I think I'm going to have to make quite a tight curl. Getting a little bit warm. It's going to need another heat before I can get that to go around. And it's starting to buckle too, so I'll heat it up and then we'll see if we can get a bit more delicate with it. I think that's okay. Now let's see if we can do the same thing on the other side. Oh geez, that one's a lot neater. It's almost a little too neat now compared to the one on the other side. Oh, that's not bad at all. Let's see if I can tighten that up. What do I want to do here? No, look, that's all right. Yeah, they're not obviously the same on both sides, but they're not too bad. So there's, see if you can see that. That's how we're looking. Now I need to do a double twist in the middle so that we can sort of combine them together. And then I'll flatten them out too, so they get a nice sort of a scimitar look to them. So I'll now go about heating up this part and this part. Now I did get this idea from somebody. There's another smith on YouTube that I did get this idea from. I will leave his link in the description below. If I don't, leave a comment and I will reply to it because I've been forgetting some things. So if you can help me on that front, that would be great. Alright, so the idea is now to bend it back on itself. I think it should be able to go that way. I just cool the top of that down. Don't necessarily want to harden it, but that's basically what we're after, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to heat up the other side, and can you see that? Yep, that's the curve we've got going on there. There's a lot of contrast in this video. There you go, you can see that a little bit cleaner. Now, as you can see, it's not great. This is me learning how to do all this sort of stuff through trial and error, but it's on the way to something. Can you see that? I've been able to get these back around. You can see this little curve here is too far over, so I want to bend that little piece back. I'll do that with one heat, and we need to flatten it out, and then we've got to bend it to the shape we want. So we are headed somewhere. I'm just not sure where the where there is. See if I can knock that back a little bit. Get a bit of grip on it. That's closer. Alright, so I think what we want to do now is flatten these out. So I'll heat them back up, get them flattened out. See how it looks after that. Put a little bit more charcoal on the fire just to get the heat going. I think we've got something going there. Again, any comments on how to reduce these sparks are welcome. Okay, let's get this thing flattened out a little. Let's see if I can fatten the end here a little. I want it to feel a little bit snake-like. That's pretty good. I'll do I'll heat up the other side now, and I'll do that side. See that? Starting to get somewhere. So. That's not bad. Now somehow we're going to have to bend it over this here. I think I'll do that in one final heat before I finish up tonight. Welcome back. So it's the next day. I had to take a bit of a break because I had other things I had to do. One of the I've got I've got the piece to about there. I'm not 100% sure yet whether this is the best side or whether that is the best side, but unfortunately you're not going to be able to help me decide because I'm going to actually finish it in this video. But if you can see that, I think you can see, because I've just hammered it all over the top, it's got a little lumpy in through here, so I'm going to try and separate these pieces and clean that up a little bit before I keep going, because my next step is to actually bend it so that we can put the hairpin through. So I still got to make the hairpin as well. Speaking of hair, I got myself a beanie or a hat because there is that much soot in the air down here. I don't know if you can see, my hair is starting to get strung out. And I always wondered why blacksmiths wear hats, but I reckon that's probably part of the reason. So it's not about fashion, it's about practicalities. And so I'll be wearing this hat most of the time. Ideally I won't be wearing it during summer because it's just going to be too hot. But we're still in winter here, it is pouring outside, and it's time to get back started. Just trying to get rid of some of the bulging, and I might just turn down the fan because the charcoal's going crazy, as you've seen it do before. Okay, it's actually started to work a little bit, even though it was only a few taps. It's actually looking a little better already. And then the other one was just here. Yeah, I think that side is much nicer. Yep. That side can face out, I think. And then we've got to bend it. We've got to bend it over a horn of some sort, and I guess that's where I'll start. So this is going to be really tricky to get this to bend around here all in one piece. I think it's almost impossible to make that happen, so it's going to have to keep trying monitoring it around. Take my time, bend it slowly. And I think what's really going to have to happen is I'm going to have to get my heat right up on this edge here and bend that, and then do the same thing on the other side. So I'll try putting it in and heating this part up more than the rest. I mean, it is very slowly starting to bend, so I'll get this on the fire. One edge. Try the other side now. While I'm doing the barrette part, I'm also going to start heating up this this pin part. Now, I think what I've got to do with this is really draw it out. Now, I have seen some techniques for drawing out material aggressively using the far edge, but these tongs are not great for holding this. They're really made for flat stock, so that is drawing it out, but I think it's going to be doing a rough job on the way through. In the meantime, we've got our other side going. Getting a very small amount of shape to it. Heat it back up through the center and see if we can bend that middle part now. Bloody hell. I think it is too cool before it gets on there. Now, I know it's not a lot, but we've drawn that out by about, I don't know, 1 centimetre, 10 mils. What does that make? What is that, a third of an inch? nearly half an inch. I think I'm going to have to try and lengthen it out to about there for it to be a useful pin. So we'll do both sides, and I might get the whole thing hot and just start pushing it out, flattening it out, thinning it out the whole way along. Alright, we're back on with our centre pieces. It's nearly there. That's pretty close. Can you see that? That's not bad. That looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is just a small bit of bending to this edge here. Just not sure how to get that on here because I don't really have that proper anvil edge. I'm just got to make do. What I've got. Alright, so hopefully you can see I've lengthened this out quite a bit square. There's a little bit further I can go because it's going to be quite a thin pin. You all know that I'm a novice at this, so it could break. I'm not sure how delicate I can go at this point. So I'm just going to use a smaller hammer, see if I can round out the edges of this and turn it into a bit of a pin. That centre area is still a little bit fat. Have to get in on that in a little bit. Try and thin it out a bit. At the end of things, we're going to need to make a nice pointy taper at the end here. And while I'm doing that pin, I'm just going to grab the centre. Just going to tighten the angle on this one a bit more. I wanted to get a fair amount of hair when it's actually catching it all. Just let it come around there. There you go. That looks pretty cool. Probably about right actually. So the only other thing I'm thinking is how to finish it. I might even just leave it looking quite rustic after I clean up some of just the little daggy bits. We'll see what my daughter is after because it's for her. So make sure I'll cool it down obviously before putting it on her hair, and we'll see whether it fits right, whether we need to actually adjust the shape anymore, and then see how she'd like to have it finished. So these are the two pieces I've got so far. You can see there's a bit of steam because I had to cool the tongs down because I keep touching the end. Can't help myself. I keep forgetting every time I pick a hot stuff with the tongs, they get hot. So you can see that. I think you can't. Let's turn it around that way a bit. So here's our hair barrette. There's our sword to the dragon, as I'm calling it. This is the dragon piece. There's the sword. Hopefully you can see that pretty well. I shouldn't really pick everything. I keep trying to pick everything up with my fingers, so I might just quickly douse this in the water, just so I can touch it with my fingers. And I can pick them up and actually show you. That one was still very hot. So here's our sword, and here is our dragon. And you can see there how it curves around. Sword goes through the dragon like so, and hair goes through the center. So I'm going to finish this up before the end of this video, so I'm just going to take a couple of extra takes with it, and I'll probably finish it off tomorrow. But I'm just going to go and try it in my daughter's hair, make sure that it's all fitting the way she wants, and then we'll decide how we're going to actually finish this. We'll probably have a sharp end, not too sharp so it's not stabbing people, and maybe a couple of little finger holds or something decorative maybe at the end. Maybe I could even give it a curl, I'm not sure. Maybe not a curl, but something interesting on the end. And yeah, that will be my first, I guess, decorative piece. I'll come back when we're ready. Alright, Saturday morning, flash forward. I've got instructions from the boss as to how she wants to have this piece finished, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to thin out a little bit through the middle there, taper it out through the front, and give it a little twist at the end so that it's got something a little bit decorative. It does actually fit her hair, which is fantastic, and she's loving it so far. So what I've got to do is I'm just going to clean up. You can see that there's just a few little daggy little bits on here that I'll clean up. I'm going to heat the whole thing up and then burnish all the scale off. So I saw a technique on how to do that. Just keep brushing the scale off until we get to not cool to touch necessarily, but so that it's not forming any more scale on it, so it cools down. Not red hot anymore. And then I went and got some linseed oil this morning, and we're going to be finishing it with that. So I'll finish it with the linseed oil and use a cloth to put that on, and then wipe off any excess. And then I think we're going to try and bake it in the oven. So just about there. Taper that out just a little bit, but that's about where I want it before I go and twist it. Alright, so we'll get a good grip at the end here. Don't know if it's a case of just not getting this hot enough, but or whether it's just cooling down because it's winter. So it does tend to lose its cherry red very, very quickly. Well, that looks pretty cool. There you go, that's kind of what I'm after. So after much back and forth, here's our finished, see how you get that there. There's our finished pin. It's going to go into the hair barrette. I think it looks pretty cool. I could like do all sorts of things to make this cleaner, but I guess I want to make sure it keeps that forged look, so I don't want to like sand it back too much or anything like that. So I'm pretty happy with it. It fits the barrette. I'm heating that up now so that I can, I think it's called Burnishing, which means just keep all the scale off while it's cooling down, and then I'll put that linseed oil on. It is getting a slightly polished look by me doing this. Take the scale off. Problem's the back. I'm really not being able to do both sides at once. Any tips for how to get that going? Actually, that's not too bad. Move it around a little bit. Alright, so it's now time to put the oil on, and my understanding of the linseed oil is highly flammable, so I've got to be wary of where I put the rags, where I splash the oil. So I'm just going to get an old rag and I'll start putting this on while it's still hot. The idea is to put it on while it's hot, not too hot. It shouldn't burn, but you want to put that on as it's cooling down, and then potentially we'll look at baking it on after that. You've got to be a little bit careful because this is still hot. You can see it's smoking, which I think is the effect we want. It's starting to shine up, which I believe is the correct effect as well. I really need a container that I can keep dipping into. I don't have one at the moment, so I'm just having to go back to the bottle. I wonder if I can hold a piece yet. Not quite, still a bit hot. Tongs. Lots of people online were talking about whether they liked or didn't like the smell of the linseed oil, but I reckon it's pretty good. When it's burning, it's kind of like a toasted smell. I'll get into all the nooks and crannies. Oh, gotta be careful, it's still hot. I keep forgetting. Alright, I might just put this to the side and do that other little piece. It looks quite nice. And just making sure there's no excess just sort of sitting anywhere. And then I think we want to put a little bit more bacon on inside in the oven. So I think that's the end of this video. So here's our two pieces. We've got the it's not a nice little practice piece. I'll give you a close up of it. I think that looks pretty good, and I think the girl is going to be happy. So see if that's too hot to touch. No, that's good now. So in essence, that goes through here, and that's our finished piece. So it's been another rusty production. It's been a decent job, this one, trying to get something decorative out of the novice blacksmithing activities I've been up to. So I'm really enjoying the process though, learning something new every time. And if you're enjoying following me along, please subscribe. And if you've got any comments or tips or even encouragement, please leave it in the comments below. I'd really look forward to reading that and having a conversation with you. But until next time, thanks for watching.